Hello, folks. I'd like to welcome you to a new series in our channel, Micro Hacks. In this series, we will try to, within a space of about between 30 minutes and 1 hour, create things using the skills that we have been learning in the tutorials up until that point. So the main idea is to take the skills that we've learned and show you how you can actually start applying them in real life situations. So without wasting any time, let's go over and start our very first micro hack. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to make sure that you catch all tutorials as they come out. In our first micro hack, I will be creating a simple website that will be a library of links. The idea is that the website will contain useful links to subjects that I find interesting. If this was a real project, I would then of course publish the website so that people can visit it and see if they can find interesting things from the links in my library. Okay, let's get started. Alright, so I've created a folder called hacks inside micro hacks. That was supposed to be the main folder, but I ended up putting a bunch of other things in there, so I created a new one, hacks. So we're going to be putting all of our micro hack projects in here. So let's start by creating a folder for our first micro hack. A simple links library. Then we get inside. So before we've used our source code editor notepad++ to create HTML files. This time around I'll show you another way of doing it. You can just right click over here, say new text document. Notice that it says txt and it's a txt file. So I'm going to remove everything including the extension .txt. And then we'll say index.html. See, if you change a file name extension, the file might become unusable. Are you sure you want to change it? Yes. Now this is a HTML file. As you can see over here, Chrome HTML document. Remember, we've spoken in the previous lesson that this is the reason why it says Chrome is because I've set Chrome as the default application to open HTML documents in my PC. Okay, so now, by the way, you see this index.html, which is something that I touched in an earlier lesson. The main or the landing web page of a website, you put it in an index.html file. So the main the page or the web page that when a person arrives at a website, you want them the page that you want people to arrive at, you should call this. Most servers, they understand that the moment that they see index, that is the default page. Okay, so let us open it up. Okay, then we're going to do as we normally do, type HTML, HTML, okay, head section, a title, I'll call it, okay, simple links library. And we want the body section. Okay. Now there are certain elements that are used when creating a web page to give structure to your web page. We haven't really touched on these in previous lessons, but we'll do that now, and it'll become clear as we go along what the purpose of each of the element. There's about 4 of them, but really for our lesson we'll only be using 3 of them. The first one is the header element. So in the header element, this is where, for instance, you would go and put a title, or maybe you'd put your H1 element, which is the title for your page. So for instance, Simple, or basically you'd put the title for your website inside the header, or your logo. If there's a logo for your website, you put them typically in the header. So simple links library. Okay, and then the second section, I'll create a space, is the nav, which is short for navigation. That's the second element. In here, you will put links to other pages that are, roughly speaking, in the same level as the page that you currently are in. For instance, this is the home page, which is the landing page. So what we're going to do in this lesson is we're going to create two other pages, an about page where people can go and click when they want to learn what this particular website is about, and we'll also create a contact page in the event if they want to contact us or contact me in this particular case. They would like to reach out, so I'll give them information about how they can reach out to me. So let's do that. And ordered list item, then it's going to have a link in it to a page. This will be, let's say, about.html. Of course, we don't at this point have an about.html page, but we will create it. Copy that. Say contact, maybe I'll say contact me. I'll just call the page contact.html. So that's the second one. And then there is the main element. Now in the main element, that's where you put, well, as the name suggests, you put your main contact. So that's the meat of your page. Everything that your page is primarily about, you put inside the main element. So before I put in things in there, I'll touch on the last one. The last element, which we're not really going to use, is called the footer element. And in the footer, you put things like, maybe actually, let me just put it in one line. You'd put your copyright, things like your copyright, blah, 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 all rights reserved, or things like powered by code with Zoox. You know, the typical things that you find at the bottom of the website. That's what you'd put in a footer. But for our lesson, we won't really put that. We can always put a footer later on if it makes sense. So that's our header, where we put things like the logo and the website name or whatever the main title is. And then nav, which links to other pages that are somewhat in the same level as the page that you are in. And then we have the main, which will contain the main content for our web page. Okay, so our simple library for now will simply contain three main categories: science, programming, history, and then with a few sub categories or subtopics underneath them: celestial, atomic under science, these three under programming, web development, desktop development, and then Internet of Things, and then under history, African, American, European. So that's what our structure will look like. We'll keep on coming here to reference because I have a goldfish memory, so I can leave this and immediately forget what's here. Okay, so let's come back. Now I'm going to teach you a new element This element actually is, at the moment, from what I've tested, it only really works in Chrome. Other slow poke browsers like Internet Explorer and Firefox does not support them. So I'll show you in a minute what these have. So it's the details element, and then the details element has a element that is called summary that you use in it. So in this one we will say science. Then you'll see in a moment what these do. And then I'm going to have, let me just copy this because I want links, and I'm just going to rightfully format. So we have this details thing inside the main one. Let's just create some space so that it's clear. Details, and then there is summary element, and then we're going to have links. Let's go back. First one we said celestial, so that's what it'll say, celestial. Then the next one it'll say atomic. So we'll have a celestial HTML page, and we will have an atomic HTML page. So let's actually go and see what this looks like. And there we go. Here's our index page so far. There's our H1 element inside the header division or section element. By the way, that's what these are. If maybe I didn't make that clear, these are like section elements. They give sections to your document, therefore creating proper structure, allowing you to structure a document well. Okay, so that's that. And then there are links that will navigate to other pages. Try to click right now. The pages are not there, so we'll create them. You notice how now this science is, it has an arrow, and usually when you see an arrow, you know that you should, click. And when we click, it then exposes things that are inside of it. So if we go back, the summary is what tells you that and gives you an idea of what's inside or what the details are. So the summary just gives you an idea. Okay, science, so whatever is inside must be about science. And then when you click on it, it will then show you the rest of the content that is inside details. So that's what this details element is about, working together with the summary element. So yeah, that's what it looks like. If, for instance, we wanted by default for it to be open, there is an attribute called open. This attribute actually acts as a boolean. When we speak about booleans in programming, it's a value that's either true or false. So when you see an attribute, usually when you see an attribute that does not have any value, so in other words, there's no equal to some value. When you see an attribute like this, then this is a boolean attribute. That means if it's available, it's telling it's no, actually, sorry, I'm feeding you poison. Shouldn't be in summary, it should be in details. Yes, that's where the attribute belongs. So when it's there, then it says that this details thing should be open. When it's not there, then that means it should not be open. So let's try it out with it being open. So you see now when I refresh, by default it's open. If we go back and we remove that open again, we refresh, see now it's closed. So that's how, depending on the initial state, but for us we want it closed, so we'll leave it like that. Okay, then we copy. Let's move on to the next one. Where are we? Programming. Okay, so that's programming, and then we say it's web dev, desktop dev, Internet of Things. So web, I'm feeling lazy, so I'll just say web dev. I'll say desktop dev, sorry. Then I'll say web underscore dev desktop dev. Let's create another one quick. And I'll say internet things, and then here I'll just say IoT, short for Internet of Things. And then we move on to the last one, history, African American, European. Okay, fine. History, African, go Africa, motherland, African American, European. Okay, African American, European. Okay, come back. There we go. So we have this, and then we have that, and then we have that. Okay. See, I don't like very much the fact that when you come over this thing, it'd be nice if it had the finger. So now again, I'm going to touch a little bit on CSS. Yeah, again, we'll learn more about CSS in the future, but you'll see it's going to be a simple thing. So we are going to, let me just zoom out a bit. Inside the head, I'm now going to create a style attribute. So when you want to include CSS without using an external file, you should create a style attribute in the head section, and then in it you can then put CSS rules. So we want to target the summary element because that's what we are seeing here. That's the summary. So we want to say for all summary elements, we want the cursor to be a pointer. So let's refresh, and there we go. You see that makes more sense because this then immediately indicates that this thing is a clickable thing. Then you click, and then you, as you can see, links by default they have this cursor pointer, but now we wanted that as well. Okay, that's about nice. So now we're going to actually go and create these pages. Let's quickly start with about and contact me. So we'll come over here, and this time we'll create the new one this way. So what we're going to do is I'm actually just going to copy all of this, paste it here. I'm going to say save index, and I'm going to say contact all .html save. Okay, so I'm going to strip this, remove all of this. Navigation, I will say home. No, not home, index, because index is where home is. Then I'll have that to be home. Then in here I will say simple links library, and then dash contact me, and then we don't really need the style in this particular contact page. And then so it's home, and it's home and about, actually, because this is the contact page, so you don't need a link to contact when you're already in contact. So so about, and what do we want to say in the main? We will simply say let's say email address. Then we will actually say, okay, for now let's just say, let me keep it simple, code with Zix@gmail.com. Save that, Let's come over here and refresh, contact me, and there we go. Simple links library, contact me, and then there's our contact details. We can go back to home. So now we have contact me. Let's create about, and don't ask me why I started with contact me even though about was the first one. So what we'll do is we'll copy all of this, create a new one, save it as about.html. Yep. And then we'll change this to about. So it'll be home, contact me. And then over here, maybe actually I should put this in a paragraph perhaps. There's actually I think if I'm not mistaken, there's actually an address element, if I am not lying. In fact, let's actually come check quickly. We can come over here, address. Yes, the HTML address element indicates that the enclosed HTML provides contact information for a person or people. There we go. So we're going to just encompass this in the address element. There we go. That's us using our HTML elements properly. And then over here, I'll just create a paragraph. And then in the paragraph, we'll say, this is a website that contains links to subjects that I find interesting. I hope you will find some interesting content as you browse through the links. Okay, let's come back. I'll just close this for now, refresh. There we go. So now we have an about section and there's the content. And then we can go home. We can go to contact me. So you see now you can move from one page to another one. Let's come back to home. And then this is where the main contact is. These are just extra pages. Like if you want to contact me, it's like, okay, who's this? By the way, notice by giving it address, it automatically changed its style a little bit and made it italic. Anyways, let's go back to home. So now we want to actually do something about these links. Okay, let's move past. Where's our index? Okay, there's our home page. So we actually want to create these pages, which is, what our website is mainly about. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back here. And so these are kind of like the same level. That's home, that's contact, about. So I'm going to create a new folder actually that I'm going to call, let's call it categories. Oh, we can call it category, it's fine. And then in here, that's where we will then create or put these links. So then since I did that, I will then need to say category / just copy that for all of these, because then that's where they are going to be found. Okay, so then let's perhaps copy this again, paste it, save. We're going to save in here. Okay, me and my goldfish memory. What's the first one? It's celestial. Oh, no, the first one is science. Sorry, I lie. It's science, then it's celestial under science. Okay, fine. So let's save category. We'll say celestial dot html. Change it to that. Then now here we will call this science celestial. That's what we will call that. Maybe or maybe no. Let's do this. Let's do the simple links library science, and then in here we will use h2 which we will call celestial. Okay, and then I'll have an h3 level link where I will say web pages. So I'm saying web pages because I envision us, and we'll remove the style, we don't need it, and we should change this title actually, call it science. Let's look at the other ones, change that to about. Typically in many cases the text that's in h1 and the one in title, they tend to be similar. Contact me, index is fine. Okay, celestial science, and then is celestial. Actually, I'm struggling a little bit with what to call this title because science will be a little bit too generic. I will, you know what? Yeah, we'll say science celestial. Then in h1 we'll say simple links library science, and then celestial. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And then I say web pages because maybe in the future we could have another section that contains video links, but we won't do that for today. So celestials web pages, then we will then proceed to have our list of links. Okay, so let's come and find, I will say celestial wiki is the first page that I think. Comics, no, we don't want comics. Celestial objects, yes, speaks about rocks and all of that stuff. That's what we want. I know Wikipedia is not an authority, but hey, Wikipedia has good information, so I'm adding that to my library. So we can come over here and add that link. Now what should we call? I'm going to pretend as though I'm bookmarking this because I want this name that's contained over here and the title. So copy that, say remove, then that's what we'll put. Just minimize a little bit, it's fine, keep like this. So that's our first link, and then let's see if we can find another interesting celestial. Well, let me see, celestial, let me say black holes. Is there any article on black holes? What is a black hole? Okay, blah 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 blah. Okay, it's NASA. I mean we can trust NASA, right? Surely it has some interesting content. So okay, it's fine. I'll write it out. Link item. Then we have our link inside href. That's that. What is a black hole? NASA. That's what we want because we want to put that there. Okay, let's take a look and see. You know what? Actually, for now, let's come home and open all of these things because I'm tired of having to click on them all the time. So we've opened all of them. Okay, they're open by default. Let's see. There we go. Simple links library. We're in the science section and we're dealing with celestials, and here are the web pages. There's a Wikipedia article. Nice. Can go back. What is a black hole by NASA? We can go back. Okay, cool. And oh, and then the links. Let's adjust that. We now also need the home link. So I'm going to copy it here. We're going to need all links to the main pages in these category specific pages. Okay, and refresh. Okay, cool. So we can go back. Wait, what? Good learning opportunity. You see, we are inside the category a folder. That's what celestial is. So when I say index.html, it then assumes that I'm saying that this index.html is in the same folder as celestial, but in reality index.html is not inside category, it's outside category. So when we want to go up one folder, we say dot forward slash. So this says get out one folder. So for instance, we are in category, we're saying go back to my parent folder, and that's where you'll find the file. That's what that means. So that's how you do it. Dot go back forward slash and then the file name. So let's refresh and then try to go home again, and there we go. Now we're back home, and then we can go back to celestial and then we can go back home. So I will do the same with atomic. In fact, before I actually go look for links now, I'm just going to create the pages first. So we'll just copy that, paste there. Atomic atomic.html. Hey, saved as all type. Atomic science. This is atomic. I will leave this empty for now. So is everything in place? That all remains. Actually, the same applies for these other ones as well, because they are one folder out. Otherwise, when we're in there, if we had not changed it, then that would not work. Now it works. In home, celestial, back home, atomic, but atomic has nothing. Let's go back home. We'll do the same for these other ones. Copy this and say now we're not in science, we are in programming. Web dev plus programming. Programming. Yeah, okay, let's save it. Then we'll, sorry, wait. What did we say we were going to call it? But can't call it web dev. So save it as appdev.html. Oh, and I want to save it inside category. And then, okay, in fact, that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to come here, inside category. I'm going to copy this, paste it. And the next one I believe was desktop dev. Copy and paste. IoT. Okay, so now I can come here, open desktop and IoT. Desktop. 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 And I'll say IoT. Wait. No. Wrong page. Web pages. Desktop dev. Web pages. Web dev. Programming. Web dev. Yes. Desktop dev. Then IoT. Programming. That's more consistent. So let's see. There's web dev. Go home. There's desktop dev. Go home. There's Internet of Things. Go home. Let's this. I'm not there yet. Okay. So let's quickly do those. Just copy one of these. I'll say African. Paste again. American. Paste again. European. Matter of fact, we could actually inside category we could go one step further. In fact, let's actually do that and say programming, creating folders, and say science, and say history. So African, American, European, we're going to put inside history. Atomic, celestial, that's science. Desktop, IoT, web, that is programming. So then now, oh, you see now it's complaining, saying I cannot see these things because I've changed the folder. Let's just close that. No. Let's come back to home. So now under science, we said category. Now we will say science. Science, that makes more sense. Programming. So I'm by the way, let me pause just a bit. I'm doing this way so that you can see that as you program or as you go about creating web pages, you may find that okay, actually let me add more structure, let me structure things a little bit more, let me create an extra folder so that I can put things in categories and so on and so forth. You must ever be willing to pause and see when you've made a bad decision and then go a step back, because ideally you want to plan out everything as thoroughly as possible, but you don't want to plan for so long that you don't actually start. Plan as much as is reasonable, and then start working, and then as you work you may have to revise your plan a little bit, as we have been doing. So that's programming, history, history, Okay, so now let's see. I go to Celestial, there it is, it's still there. Category science, go home. Oh, again, there's that learning opportunity of ours. Now, in category science, I'll just open these two and then open all three of these and then open, no, I started with science, history. Okay, I've opened all of them. Now, this thing says that when I'm in Europe, I need to move one folder up and then I'll get to home, or I'll get to about, or I'll get to contact me. But the reality is now, when I am in Europe, it's not enough to go up one folder because that'll get me here inside categories. I'll have to go up one more folder for me to finally get to these three guys. Okay, so to do that, dot forward slash, that's one folder, and then dot forward slash again. That will bring me up two folders. So gotta update all of these links. So this is one place where people make a lot of mistakes when they are creating websites. They often do not give proper references or H references to their web pages. As a result, they find themselves being frustrated because they cannot link their web pages. So you have to make sure that you do this thing properly. Okay, I think that's that. So if we go back, go back, refresh, go home. There we go. Now we can go home. Atomic can go home, desktop, we can go to contact us, Internet of Things, we can go to about us. Okay, Africa. I hadn't actually changed for the history ones. Okay, let's do that. Where are they? European. So this is history and European. That's history. American, history, African, and African. That should be proper. There's my African, American, European, as we can see as well up there. So right now, the only one that really has links is actually the celestial one. So what really remains now is for us to actually go and populate our things with links. So I'm trying to think, do I want to populate all of them? I'm just going to add one link. I'm going to be lazy for now. We're going to add one wiki link and maybe we'll add one more link here or there. So we have Celestial. Okay, let's go home, nothing. So I'm just going to go Atomic Wiki. Atomic may refer to atomic physics, field of physics that studies atoms. That's a link we want. La, 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 la. Where's my atomic? Okay, so I have a link for you. Href atomic physics Wikipedia. So now atomic has a link as well. So what do we have? We have celestial, we have two links, we have atomic, I have one link, and then it's pretty much rinse and repeat. So when as I go through the web and then I come across, let's say now decide to check out African history, and then I come across history of Africa, only planet, human origins and migration, African empires, pyramids of power. Okay, this looks like an interesting article. So I'd come and grab this. And where is my African? So I'd come over here and create my list item, then put my link inside of it. Href, there's my link. Then I could of course put in anything there again, but I like using the same title as they have on their page. It's quite long. Then now if I come and refresh under my history African, there's my link. Then I can click on it and it will take me to this article. So go back home. So there you have it. We've therefore now created our library of links. We've created the structure, and all that will remain is that over time, of course, like a real life library, it doesn't start with like all the books that it needs. Books uh, are brought for the library, and the library gets populated with new books over time. So it'd be the same thing for our library of links over time as we come across more websites or web pages that that are relevant to us. We would take those links and populate them over here. Otherwise, our website, as far as the structure is concerned, is completed. So just to check it a bit, maybe let's do it over here. So we have our three main pages: the main page, the home page, or the index page that contains, where is it? It contains links to about and contact, and then it actually has links to all of our various subcategories. So under science, it then has the links that if you want to study about celestial things, or you want links for celestial things, come over here for atomic, and so on and so forth. So that's what index is about. And then contact us, of course, contains information. If you want to contact us, just an email address right now. About, it just tells you what the website is about. And then inside category, we then have folders which represent subcategories. And then sorry, under categories we actually have the categories, folders that have categories, and then inside those we then have the subcategories, the subcategory pages, which are all then referenced in the home or index page. So that is it, really. That's it for our first micro hack. So we've used a few of the lessons that we've learned. Of course, we've been using HTML elements everywhere. We even learned a few new HTML elements. We've used links for the most part extensively. Used a little bit of CSS, though we haven't really, as of yet, quite learned or we haven't used we haven't learned about CSS, but I'm sure you should be getting an idea that whenever you want to put CSS, you go to the head, you include a style tag, and then you can start including some CSS rules. So that's what we've done for our first hack. Please comment in the comments section of this video. Tell me things that you liked about this first hack. Give some suggestions, and then when I prepare for the next micro hack that we will have, I'll factor those in so that we can, keep on learning, keep on improving our experience together, because I really want you guys to have an opportunity to actually get into programming, because as I said at the beginning of our channel, programming is a cool skill to have, and it's quite useful. So there you have it. Try this out. Tell me in the comment section if you've tried to follow along. Try to follow along and tell me where maybe you may have gotten confused as you're following along. But do try this out. If you get through this exercise and you understand everything that we have done in this exercise, then you can safely call yourself an entry level web developer. You've just put in your toes in the door. So try this example and tell me about it as well in the comment section. So yeah, that brings us to the end of our first micro hack. You can watch other tutorials over here, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on tutorials as they come out. Have you subscribed? Are you done? Okay, cool.